So what I'll do first is I'll go over the cast on again. So if you look at my other videos, you'll see there's a backwards loop cast on method that I share. So for this sample, I am going to cast on about 18 stitches. Okay, so take your time if this is the first time that you've done it. Okay, and don't feel too scared to stop and count. Okay, so 18 stitches cast on. Now what I'm going to do is I turn the work around. So you do this at every time. You turn the piece around and you wear wrong side, right side, wrong side, right side. You get the hang of it. So the first stitch, okay, so we have our cast on stitches, and the first stitch we insert the needle. So this is the right hand needle. We insert it into the first loop here. So through the front, in we go, like this. Okay, and your right hand needle is now behind the left hand needle. Just pull on the yarn slightly so it's not too loose. Wrap the working yarn around, and you see it'll settle between those two needles. So wrap it around, okay, and then insert the right hand needle back through this stitch and over the left hand needle, and then just pull it slightly to tighten it. So insert the right hand needle into the front. The right hand needle should then be at the back of the left hand needle. Take the working yarn, wrap it over, okay, sit it, the working yarn between these two needles, and then take the right hand needle and go back into that loop and then pull. Okay, we have 2 stitches now. So try not to pull too tightly if you're first learning. So in through the front with the right hand needle, cross them over, so you've got left hand in front, right hand in the back. Wrap the yarn over, sit the yarn in between the 2 needles, and then take the back needle through that loop on the left hand needle and over. Just pull it again. And we will do this until you are ready. So insert through the front, cross them over, left in front of right, yarn round the right hand needle, down through the middle of those 2 needles, and then put that right hand needle back through this loop and over the left hand needle, and just give it a little pull just to secure the stitches. Insert, yarn over, through that loop, pull. Okay, we keep doing this till the end. I'll be right here waiting when you've got to the end. So we're just coming to the end now. So I'm on the last 2 of the 18 stitches. Just going to carefully secure the tail end of the yarn between my fingers, and I'll just do that last stitch. So in, round, through again, and off the needle, pull it, there we go. And the last one, I'll just keep hold of the tail because there's no slip knot here, this is loose and free. So I'll insert, go over, just as I did before, but keep hold of the tail, and I pull the tail this time, okay? And there we have it. So that is the first 18 stitches. Okay, that's our first row after cast on. Now the tail end could be a bit long for you, but don't worry too much about that. Chances are you will need the tail end to seam up the pieces. So what I do is sometimes I just fold it over and just put a loose kind of knot in it. And that's how I know this is the tail end. It's not the working yarn. Okay, so I just put a little knot in it, and the chances of me knitting with that are significantly lessened because I've changed the yarn. Okay, so turn the piece around again, and just be careful that you don't knit with the tail end. Okay, put a little knot in it or something, just so you know. Don't trim it too short, just leave it as it is, but kind of fold it over and try and keep it out the way. The tail end can, you know, sometimes even the most experienced knitters will accidentally knit with the tail end. So to do our first row the other way, so that was the right side, this is the wrong side. Insert your needle again, so right hand needle goes behind left hand needle. Wrap the yarn over, just pull it down so it sits between those two needles, and bring that needle through the loop again. Okay, there we go. And again, wrap it over, go back through, and you'll find that you are naturally pulling as you are pulling the stitches off the needle. So over, through the loop again, through the loop again. So you practice this for as long as you need to. When you are starting out, you may have cast on too tightly, you may have cast on too loosely, you may knit too tightly, and you may knit too loosely. These are all things that you can practice and work on. Okay, but this is how to do the garter stitch. So pause this video and replay it as many times as you need to. Watch for as long as you need to before you have a go. Okay, so in through the front, right needle at the back, yarn over, and then you pull back through that loop like so. So this shouldn't feel knotty or tangled at this point. It should feel, you know, a little bit precarious, you know, because you'll be a little bit clumsy when you're starting out. But it shouldn't be in a tangle. Okay, you just spread your stitches across the needle like that. So that was our second row. Okay, so turn it back to the other side now. So we constantly turn right side to wrong side, right side to wrong side, and we do it again. So you keep working on that until we get to the end of our piece. Garter stitch is a great stitch to start with because it's just one stitch that we're learning. We're just learning the knit stitch. And as I said before, you can use any needles that you like. You can use bamboo, steel, aluminium, plastic, any needles that feel comfortable for you. I'm using circulars because they're lighter on my wrists, and if I'm demonstrating on a tabletop, it's easier for me to use these because they are shorter needles. But you can use whichever needles you feel comfortable using. I'll show you this from a slightly different angle now to help you see it better. So I'll just turn the needles over slightly. Okay, and I'll show you where I'm putting the needle in. Okay, like so. Wrap it around, and you see that it just sits between the two needles. And I'm going to put that right hand needle back through there. Okay, just so you can see from every angle how this works. in we go, wrap around, and then go back through that loop. Okay, go in, wrap around, back through that loop. Do that all the way to the end. Don't worry too much about uneven stitches. Don't worry too much about your edges being wonky. Just concentrate on knitting every stitch across the row. And there we have it. This is garter stitch. Now, don't worry too much if your ends look a bit uneven. That will happen. That's just part of being a beginner knitter. Garter stitch is quite a dense, squishy stitch, and then that's the fabric it creates. It's quite squishy. So it's quite handy if you want to make yourself some washcloths or tea towels because it's quite thick. It's also a great beginner stitch if you want to make a garment, for example. But yeah, that is the garter stitch. If you have any more questions about garter stitch that you need help with, please leave a comment and I will try my best to get back to you or make a new video addressing your questions. Thank you for watching. I hope you are well on your way to learning to knit.